Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Callum, this is EnglishShooting, and let's get into the video. Now, over the past 12 months, I've had the immense privilege of being the United Kingdom Practical Shooting Association Treasurer and a trustee of the charity. And I feel that I've not only just been able to help sustain the association, but also help move it forward. Now, there's still a lot that I would like to get done, and after being in the role for a year, there's other areas that I feel I can have a positive impact, not just to the members or the association, but to the sport as a whole. And this is why I will be standing again for Treasurer at the 2024 UKPSA AGM. Now, I had hoped that I could start this campaign and even start this year on a more positive note, but yet I find myself once again having to go over a near 8-year-old topic, and in addition defend myself and the association against unsubstantiated, unbased allegations of fraud, corruption and malfeasance. Despite not previously responding to the continued and escalating goading throughout the years by the individual making these accusations in an attempt not to placate the attention that they so desperately desire, they have now reached a point and have become so serious that I feel a response is required, especially in running again for the position of Treasurer. For the avoidance of doubt, these accusations are completely baseless, and not a single shred of evidence has been brought forward to support them. The allegations are nothing more than the verbal ramblings and twisted lies of an individual that has had a long-standing public vendetta against myself, the UKPSA and IPSC as a whole, even before I became Treasurer. Prior to the allegations being made, there had been no contact to myself as Treasurer or the rest of the UKPSA Council to raise any concerns or make any formal complaints. The only interaction with the association this past 12 months with this individual was by them attending one singular council meeting as an observer. I would ask first and foremost how my appointment as Treasurer via a democratic election open to the entirety of the UKPSA membership constitutes as corruption, unless you are calling the entirety of the UKPSA membership corrupt. I ran against two other members who had equal opportunity to campaign and gain the votes of the membership. Now, gaining a clear majority in that vote without a single mention during the AGM of my previous issues with firearms licensing, I had become somewhat optimistic that this is something that we could finally put behind us. Clearly not. The most important libelous statement that was made in that video that I need to address personally is the accusation that I have previously been charged with a violent offence. This is incorrect and untrue. I have never been charged with any violent offence or any offence other than speeding on a public highway. Any attempt to suggest otherwise is either to directly damage my reputation or at the very least demonstrates a complete lack of understanding of the circumstances that led to the revocation of my firearms certificate. I have been abundantly clear multiple times on this channel publicly that the reason for the revocation back in March 2016 was due to an allegation of assault where no charges were brought against me and the matter was dropped with no further action. The reason I was unsuccessful in the appeal was due to what the judge stated as an accumulative effect. This was due to the allegation, the content on EnglishShooting, and the failure to comply with the request to voluntarily surrender my certificates for the purpose of review. In other words, no singular issue gave the necessary concern to uphold the revocation. However, in accumulation with all three issues, there was enough concern overall. Subsequently, the focus points of any meeting or interaction with Hampshire Firearms Licensing has been around the content on this channel, the comments made by other people on this channel, and my lawful use of firearms either through exemptions in law or being a servant of a registered firearms dealership, supported by the likes of the email summary of a meeting held in April 2018, 2 years after the revocation. This was with the head of Hampshire Firearms Licensing, Mr. Tony Hill, in which heavy pressure was applied by Mr. Hill for me not only to withdraw my application, but to also no longer handle firearms on camera, amongst other terms, for a period of 2 years before reapplying, confirmed by Mr. Hill in blue within the displayed email summary. During that meeting, there was not a single mention of any previous allegation, and in 2020 Hampshire Constabulary even went to the effort of launching an 18-month-long investigation, something I have covered repeatedly in depth on this channel as well, into my use of firearms, specifically my use of a Section 1 shotgun within competition as a servant of an RFD. Now, despite having videos of me using these firearms, providing a written statement and sitting a face-to-face interview confirming my use at the time, dates and locations at which I was being accused of, the investigation was dropped due to a lack of evidence, or in other words, as my solicitor puts it, a lack of legal merit. With the investigation dropped, I was then able to proceed with my interview for a firearm and shotgun certificate in April 2022. Even with the investigation closed in September 2022, I was notified by Hampshire Firearms Licensing that they still wanted to seek additional external legal advice around the same investigated use of firearms. It is my belief that they intend to use this to keep me in a holding pattern until I do say or give them something that they would be able to formally reject my application without a high likelihood that I would be able to overturn it in appeal. I am at a genuine loss to why I have been successfully entered as a servant on 2 different registered firearms dealership certificates for a combined period of nearly 3 years, when even Tony Hill says himself that Hampshire would not take action against this, and yet they are unable to come to a decision around my personal certificates. If Hampshire genuinely held valid concerns around my suitability to hold a firearm certificate, why would they not just simply reject the application and ask me to be removed as a servant of an RFD without relying on hearsay, speculation, or he said, she said statements? I am more than happy to provide the inarguable facts to refute the other libelous statements made against myself. Firstly, I have never approached David Kiddle or any representative of Caliber Innovations to exchange votes for promotion. The accusation is solely based on a he said, she said conversation that supposedly took place over a year ago. Anyone is free to look over the content of this channel and Facebook page for the previous 12 months and you will see an insignificant amount of media released surrounding Caliber Innovations, American Shooting Trips and Kentucky Firearms Club compared to the previous 7 years. In addition, none of the Caliber Innovations directors or employees were present at the 2023 UKPSA AGM to cast their votes. If votes were exchanged for promotion, please could someone point to the promotion or point to the votes? And again, this conversation supposedly took place over a year ago now. If there were genuine concerns about the integrity of the voting and campaign of myself, Why weren't the concerns raised prior, and why wait till now to voice them? The statement that I have used association funds of £7,000 to obtain cartridges for my own benefit or to freely distribute amongst my friends is a grossly distorted representation of the actual facility that is offered to UKPSA members. In 2017, the then Regional Director, Mr. Kevin Strowger, with approval from Council, negotiated the bulk purchase of cartridges to obtain a preferential below RRP rate to then pass on to the members. This has been ongoing since, with the last approved order back in November 2022, a month prior, before I ran for the role of Treasurer. The cartridges are purchased by the UKPSA, by the association, and then the members are able to then purchase the cartridges directly from the association. There is a very small fee attached to the cost price to negate the otherwise earned interest from the money being left in the accounts. But overall, the money is recouped back to the association by the membership purchasing these cartridges. Simply, it is a zero-sum game. There is absolutely no cost to the association and no cost to the members in running this facility, and yet it gives a clear benefit in a reduced cost of cartridges to our members. The £7,000 figure being quoted actually relates to a £6,192 invoice I presented to Council at the last meeting. This related to the remainder of the approved order back in November 2022. With not being on Council previously, I needed to make sure I had authority and approval from Council to make this payment, which they gave. To be clear, I have never used, purchased, or distributed these cartridges myself. I don't even have access to them. And yes, absolutely 100%, this facility should have been better communicated to the membership. The statement that a rushed through £350 sponsorship agreement was approved at the last meeting is completely false. I was proposing a £250 sponsorship agreement similar to that of BASC's and the NRA's trade membership packages. A full written proposal was provided to the Secretary prior to the Council meeting. Unfortunately, this was not passed on to the rest of Council ahead of time, which gave the Chairman no choice but to defer the discussion and proposal to a later date. The notion that the UKPSA Council is just a job for the boys is potentially the only laughable statement made. I have continuously challenged the status quo of this industry since the creation of this channel, continuously pushing for the sport to become more open, more inclusive, more modern, and to be more easily accessed by anybody that wants to take part. To say that we are somehow, or I am somehow, maintaining the status quo and giving job for the boys and maintaining an old boys club is bemusing, to say the least. Unless evidence is forthcoming and provided to support the allegations that myself and the UKPSA refute, the membership should seriously consider the state of mind, the character, trustworthiness and temperament of the individual that finds it appropriate to make these allegations without evidence, without basis, and if that is somebody we really want at the head of a national governing body. Myself and the rest of the UKPSA Council have absolutely nothing to hide, and I hope this has gone some way in removing the concerns created by the lies and false unfounded allegations that have been made. Withholding regular live streams and a myriad of different ways to get in contact with me. If you do have any other concerns, questions or queries around the UKPSA or my actions as Treasurer over the previous 12 months, then please do not hesitate to get in contact, or alternatively, use the comment section below. I won't hide anything and I will answer every single question directly. With running for Treasurer again in 2024, if you are a UKPSA member, I would greatly appreciate your support. I really don't think what I can give to the association has truly been reached yet, and there's so much more that I can do. Thank you very much for watching this video, and of course, as always, I hope to see you soon.